Hello, it is Sunday, September 26th, 2021. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to my New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It is a Sunday puzzle, so that means this will probably be the longest video of the week for the largest grid of the crossword solving week. But before we do that, I want to quickly remind you about my Patreon campaign. I don't intend to be talking about this much indefinitely, but for now, since it's recently launched, I'm going to quickly point out that you can find that at patreon.com/dailysolve, and there are a few different levels of support, including the lowest level that grants you special access to the Discord server, although the broader Discord server is free to access for anyone. The link is in the description underneath the video. But you get a special role and a private channel on there if you back the campaign, as well as bonus content that goes up for patrons only, such as the New York Times monthly bonus crossword, as well as weeks of speed-run mini crosswords. And I just put another one of those up for the past week, because the first one that was up there was actually the previous week. So please do check that out at patreon.com/dailysolve. I will also be thanking some specific patrons of the higher tiers at the end of the episode, which is something I intend to do on these videos. So that was a little more brisk than yesterday. Let's move on to the comments from yesterday's puzzle about that Saturday puzzle, which I found, I would say, a little bit tricky. Kathy Swope points out, with respect to the series Ironside, the television series Ironside, focusing on the San Francisco Police Department, with which I was unfamiliar. Raymond Burr played the paralyzed detective in the series Ironsides. He is perhaps better known for his role as Perry Mason in the eponymous series. My favorite role of Burr's was as the murderer in Hitchcock's Rear Window. So there we go. Yes, Aaron Burr. So I had no idea. I was not familiar with that program, so I didn't know that Raymond Burr, sorry, there was a typo that said Aaron Burr. Raymond Burr, I did not know that was one of his roles, but of course I've seen him in Perry Mason, and I've seen him in Rear Window and a number of other films. Yes, very prolific actor, but that Ironsides was a new one on me. So LVZW has an incredible fact here. This is related to capybara being present in the puzzle as a rodent. Rodent was the answer with to the, category of animal that a capybara is. And LVZW says, this puzzle tangentially brings up one of my favorite pieces of Catholic history trivia. While it is true that zoologists classify capybaras as rodents, 18th century Venezuelan clergymen and the Vatican agreed that they were fish on account of them being expert swimmers who spent most of their day in water. The motive for this classification was to allow Catholic colonists to eat capybara meat during Lent. The precedent for this ruling was that beavers in New France were already deemed fish by the church. That is incredible. I absolutely love that. What a ridiculously good fact. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. I also looked up the pronunciation of the crater that was the site of the impact that led to the extinction of the dinosaurs, and it is Chicxulub crater. So there we go. I actually brought that up to my housemate, and he was familiar with the crater, but was not able himself to spell or pronounce it from memory. Okay, and Lucas Roca points out, it's funny that you couldn't remember the name of the goddess of memory. That's the comment. Yes, indeed. Whoops. But we got there with crosses eventually. All right, so let's move on to today's puzzle, the Sunday crossword, which is, as all Sunday puzzles are, titled, This is Study Breaks, constructed by Priyanka Sethi and Matthew Stock, edited, as always, by Will Shorts. So, are we ready to get started? Okay, I think I'm particularly ready today after that tricky Saturday solve. I'm ready for a slightly more languid Sunday crossword. So let's see if that's what we get. We already see a number of theme-related answers here. We have some series of shaded cells, each containing a circled cell? Well, I just happened to click on this, sorry, and this is a pretty straightforward clue, so I'm going to fill it in. Holders of multiple passports are dual citizens. So here we have a C surrounded by LIT. Don't know what that means just yet, but yeah, sorry, I just happened to be random. I don't usually do that, but that was pretty straightforward. So maybe let's start from there. Let's mix it up this Sunday. Let's go absolutely wild and start from 60 across rather than 1 across. So what's down? What is 60 down? Newsroom sites, starting with D. It could be desks in a newsroom at a newspaper, say. So are we. Us too, I guess. Used Grubhub or Postmates, say. So the say means, if you aren't familiar with that convention in crossword cluing, the say means this is an example. The thing that we're going to fill is an example of this thing. It's not necessarily a synonym. It's not a precise definition. And I think in this case, what it means is ate in. In other words, you could use Grubhub or Postmates for some other purpose, but you're probably using it to eat in. That's one of the things that these are used for. Whereas Postmates, at least for instance, I think can be used to order. I mean, these are both online delivery services, but I think Postmates can be used to order non-food items from stores, things like that. So you might not be eating in with it, but you might. It's one of the things you could do with it. Okay, so here we have ignore that edit, and this is in the square brackets. And what it means when an answer is in brackets usually means that the thing that we are entering into the puzzle is something symbolic, maybe something nonverbal, maybe it's a motion or a sound you make. And in this case, it's stet. And what it means here, this is a copy editing term that you would write to essentially undo an edit you made with a pen on paper to indicate, I don't actually want to delete that thing. I want to leave it in or whatever. And I guess the reason it's in brackets here is because this is sort of it's essentially a symbolic meaning that you're putting this phrase on the page and you're basically communicating ignore that edit to the writer of the piece. And you could, I suppose, put this in quotes to indicate that ignore that edit is as though you were saying stet, but the reason it's in brackets rather than quotes is because it's not actually something spoken. For it to be in quotes, it would really it should be something that it would be spoken aloud. Anyway, that was very an elaborate explanation, so I should move on. Here we go. Values highly is esteems. It's pretty straightforward. And then do we get anything with, I'm curious about these shaded cells here. Airy baby and Microsoft's answer to the iPad. So this airy baby, an airy is a nest that birds have constructed on a cliff face or something like that, a very high area. So it could be an eaglet, a baby eagle, and then talk could be gab, and a kind of data distribution with 2 peaks. Bimodal, maybe? Bi something. I mean, bi is 2, obviously. I don't know. I don't think I'm familiar with this phrase, but if I had to guess, it'd be bimodal. Let's see. Honey blank special K flavor. Honey oat. Special K is a cereal, but I don't know this particular line. But oats are often in breakfast cereals, so it could be honey oat, maybe. I'm saying that because of the bimodal guess. If this is D, not looking good at all, could be dire if indeed this is bimodal. Maybe it is bimodal. Let's put it in and see what happens. So what is this? What in the... Oh, I see. Son of a... And then we've got the ellipses that leaves it hanging because the implication is clear. Jane of 9 to 5, the film 9 to 5. Jane Fonda. This is also has Dolly Parton, and Dolly Parton composed the title song 9 to 5 for it, I suppose. And I've never seen the film, but I've heard it's great, and I would really like to. I intended to watch this recently and then didn't get around to it. Okay, let's see. What is this? Blank Ingwen, first female president of Taiwan. Not sure offhand. Let's look at the cross. Honey oat. Could be honey oat. Could this be a T? Overdone. An overdone could be trite. I think of trite more as being stale than overdone per se. I mean, you could have something that isn't necessarily overdone, but it is still a bit of a cliche. It's a little trite, a little stale. I don't know. It could be trite, but I'm not convinced yet. So let's look here. Lakeside City, that's at one end of I-79. I have no idea where I-79 is. That would be an interstate highway in the United States, but I don't know where that is. If I had to guess simply based on the E and 4 letters, I would guess Erie, but there's certainly countless cities that could fit that fill, so I'm not going to put it in. I'm looking at this because the Z is unusual. Celia, known as the Queen of Salsa. Cruz, if I had to guess a name. How blank, how rude maybe, and these are all guesses building on guesses here, but we'll see how it turns out. Early development sites, uteri. So that's a bit of a connection to yesterday's in utero, which was something like in development or something like that. To mess up is to err, to make an error. I'm so sorry for you. Something dear maybe? Trouble could be ail. If you're ailing, you're in trouble. Or irk. I suppose if you trouble someone, you irk them. I don't know. To finish with is end on. So trouble, it could be ado. It's a whole ado. It's a whole trouble. That could be the case. It's maybe. So what is this again? Right. It could end with dear. I'm so sorry for you. I'm imagining someone consoling somebody and saying, there, my dear. But I don't know what the first half of the answer is. Oh, it could be dear, maybe? That's something that people say, right? Dear, I'm so sorry for you. I can imagine that being the case. Let's try it. First openly lesbian anchor to host a major primetime news program. I assume this will be specific to the United States. I don't imagine that in the New York Times crossword they would go further afield than that. Alleged. So to speak, so to say, so. Howdy. Put in a seat, perhaps. Put in a seat, perhaps. See in or something, like an usher, maybe at a theater. Not sure. Blank soap. Lie soap, maybe? Howdy. Could be hiya if I wouldn't have arrived there without lye soap. But if this is lye soap, because soap is traditionally made of lye, is it still? I don't know. And howdy could be hiya. Then what is this? Follow closely. Well, it could be tail with that I, which would make end on and at, which is equally valid, so that's fine. Oh, and then this could be Rachel Maddow, political commentator in the U.S. And then here we have alleged. So-called, right. So I was right with so, but I for some reason couldn't get the rest of it. Here we have put in a seat, perhaps. To elect, to put in a seat of office, a political office. Yes, there we go. Very good. All right. Are we seeing anything yet with these theme answers? We have chem surrounding an L, lit surrounding a C. Wonder if this will be scar or something. It lets you see the sights. I'm not going to try yet. But here we have L down, Tometi, who co-founded Black Lives Matter. Oh, I'm not sure offhand. Here we have words of admission. Words of admission. Mea culpa doesn't fit, and Maddow doesn't work anyway. Words of admission. It was me, perhaps, a very straightforward version of that. And a goth relative could be an emo. So not goths as in Goths and Visigoths, but goths as in the sort of more modern, I don't know, sort of fashion and identity group. Traditional attire for some martial artists. Not sure. Ornate tea vessel is a, oh boy, what is this? It's a Samar. It's on the tip of my tongue. Samovar. There we go. Sorry. It took me a moment. Yeah, an ornate tea urn used in a tea service. Okay, to soothe is to assuage, I think. As in soothe one's fears, assuage one's fears. Traditional attire for some martial artists. Oh, judo. I want to say judoka or something. Could that possibly be right? Brutes, no. Oh, a gi maybe. Gi. Judo gi. Is that right? Because then brutes could be ogres. And a fishing target for short. So fishing spelled with a PH like this refers to a form of, I suppose, hacking, or I guess in what that means actually is not so much hacking, but more, I guess, almost a form of social obtaining information by social engineering, by convincing somebody to enter information into a form that you've sent them that's masquerading as a legitimate request from your bank or something like that. So that could be SSN, social security number, you might attempt to obtain illicitly from somebody through phishing. Okay. And SSN is a U.S. Identification number that's often associated with taxes and payments. Okay, letter that rhymes with 3 other letters. Eta, perhaps? Greek letter that rhymes with other letters like theta, and what else? Beta. And one more, I guess. Sun-kissed, say, could be tan. Q followers, RST. Ah, clever, because Q followers brings to mind QAnon, the conspiracy theory that has followers, in a bigger, I guess, more metaphorical sense. But here, in the alphabet, Q is literally followed by RST. One's fighting for change. Oh, it'll end with activists, won't it? Political activists? There we go. Political activists such as Black Lives Matter, whose founder's name I do not recall. Human rights lawyer Clooney, Amal Clooney. Do you remember that name? Here we have Lakeside City. Right. Could be Erie again. Could be Enid. Could be something else. Result of pulling the goalie. Open. If you pull a goalie, you no longer have someone guarding your net. Open net. Could that be it? Reindeer in Frozen. Who is the reindeer in Frozen? Is it Sven? That kind of sounds familiar to me. Go away could be vanish. Great expectations. Maybe ash. As in a fireplace, perhaps. Gops could be stairs. Tops is the best. Take a dive, perhaps. Ah, scuba. This came up recently in a crossword, and scuba, as was pointed out by a commenter, stands for, I think, if I remember correctly, self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. And I remember being surprised to recall that apparatus was part of the clue, whose answer was scuba. And people pointed out that scuba at this point is essentially, in some ways, not even an acronym anymore, even though it is definitely an acronym, but it has become so fully integrated into standard spoken English that it's, I don't know, status as an acronym is sort of less important than the word itself. And I think that's fair enough, although I was still surprised to see apparatus in the clue. Well, I was surprised in retrospect because I did not remember the meaning of the acronym at the time. Okay, funny business is stand-up. Stand-up comedy could be a profession that deals with humor. And that is how to, I feel as though I just did something that a comedian shouldn't do, which is to over-explain something and therefore make it entirely sterile. All right, hemp seed product is cannabis oil, I would imagine. Here we have World War II threat, U-boat, a German submarine. Spy Kids actress Hatcher. I've never seen Spy Kids, but Terry Hatcher comes up in the puzzle, not infrequently. Duh in modern slang. I don't know. Brown or blacken could be sear, as in meat. What is this here? Encroach is to impinge. To encroach on somebody's territory is to impinge on it. Kind of syrup that's an alternative to honey is agave syrup. Da in modern slang. Maybe OBVI, the first four letters of obviously. I don't think I've heard people say obvi, but could be it. I don't know what else it could be with those crosses. End of an era. Oh, end of an era 1 BC, the end of the BC era before the year 1 AD or CE, I suppose. I think there's no year zero. I think it goes from 1 BC or 1 BCE directly to 1 AD or 1 CE. I think that's the case, but could be wrong. Someone will tell me if I'm wrong, which is the handy thing about doing this series. Don't misbehave. Act nice, I suppose. Zip is nada, nil, zero. Ringing in the new day. Ringing in the new day. There's a question mark here, so there's a pun or wordplay going on. So I'm wondering which element of the clue is demanding that question mark. Ringing, I don't know. I'm just going to move on. Start of a rendezvous request could be meet me. So this is looking like Erie now, this lakeside city. And money for old age. So here's another American financial initialism to go with SSN. Here is your IRA, your individual retirement account. This has come up quite a few times over the course of this series, so it's one to commit to memory, I suppose. Overdone. So it is trite, indeed. Oh, I see. Sorry. I was skeptical of trite earlier because I was thinking of overdone incorrectly. I was thinking of overdone meaning the sort of convention or the bit of writing or whatever is itself being overdone. It's very big. But what this means is that it's simply been overdone historically. This particular trope has been done too often. It's been overdone. So I'm sorry about that. I was unnecessarily skeptical of trite filling this clue. So this does look like honey oat, doesn't it? I think that's pretty plausible. And then gives a hoot. Oh, no, sorry. Give a hoot could be jeer, maybe? Goof around could be screw around. Hyphenated beverage brand. Stop blank sign. Muralist Rivera, Diego Rivera. It's a famous muralist. What is this? Stop blank sign. Why am I not seeing this? Stop. Seems like it should be very, very clear. I'm sorry, I'm going to move on. Weird. Contents of some banks. I don't know. Walks on, treads on. Oh, stop ahead. I'm sorry. Good Lord. Yes, obviously. And then contents of some banks, and then transcript figure. This could be your university transcript, your GPA, your grade point average is my guess here. Hebrew name meaning ascent. I'm not sure offhand. Now I'm going backwards. So we have this funny grid in which we filled about the middle third plus a bit more. Like the Dalai Lama, Tibetan. So I'm going to move on and try and close out this southeast corner, and then we'll move back on to the top of the grid. Part of the joke. We've got the setup, the punchline. Is there some other meaning here? 2019 jukebox musical featuring the song Proud Mary. I suspect this is Tina, the Tina Turner musical, for which there are advertisements all over the place here in London. It is currently running in the West End. Blank a Crime, 2016 Trevor Noah memoir. Born a Crime, I think, is that book. Katie of ESPN, no idea. Part of the joke in... I don't know, I'm sorry. Ringing in the new day. Property claim. A property claim might be a lien. You might have a lien placed on your property if you, due to, I don't know, non-payment maybe. What have we not seen yet? Nodding. Excuse me. Okay, nodding. Here's another clue in brackets. So I'm still not seeing it. Oh, I haven't been looking at. Oh, I think I see what these themed bits, or sorry, these shaded squares that relate to the theme. So we've got bio here for biology, calc, and I'm omitting the circled answers because they're not shaded. So here we have bio, here we have calc for calculus, here we have chem for chemistry, here we have lit for literature. Here, what would this be? If this were an O, it could be econ for economics. Dear could be wrong, which wouldn't be a surprise because I felt as though I was going out on a limb with that. But anyway, let's get back to the bottom here. JFK alternative. So this does not refer to John F. Kennedy, the president, but rather his namesake airport, John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York City. And an alternative to that could be LaGuardia Airport, which is LGA, or Newark Airport, EWR, in nearby New Jersey, still considered a New York area airport. My guess would be LGA because it is actually in New York City, unlike Newark Airport, but it could still be EWR. Yes, and so true is amen. So that is in fact the case. Homeland of many Paiute and Shoshone. Well, I helped make a video game set in a national forest called the Shoshone National Forest, a game called Firewatch, but that isn't helping me here. Homeland of many. So, I mean, the Shoshone was a tribe, or is a Native American tribe. Let's see. Ringing in the new day on alarm. An alarm rings in the new day. Great something? Great Plains? Oh, nodding could be I see. So if that were great, part of the joke, bringing up the rear, what is this theme here? So LAT, Latin? Maybe it's not great. Most of these are abbreviations, and Latin would not be an abbreviation. So is there a different class? Let's keep looking around. KDVSPN, Japanese super ingredient, could be miso. I mean, could be other things as well. Children's author, Blyton. I think Enid Blyton rings a bell. Is that an author? Bird with a reduplicative name. Could be the Neen. To reduplicative name, it's got two syllables, a syllable that reduplicates. One of two poles could be an anode as opposed to a diode, I suppose. One might be good or evil, an evil omen, a good omen. Oh, last in line, bringing up the rear. So that is indeed Latin. Okay. So they don't need to be abbreviations. So then part of the joke... There's something else wrong here? What is this? In on it? Part of the... Oh, goodness. I'm sorry. If one is part of the joke, one is in on it. And then the great is not Great Plain, it's Great Basin. And then here we have Dallas and Houston are in it in brief, which would be the NBA, the National Basketball Association, which would make sense. And then Katie of ESPN must be Katie Nolan. Okay, so that finally tidies up that little corner down there. That all looks good. So I wonder what is going on with this theme. I have not yet seen a revealer, which would be the explanatory clue and answer that helps us sort of decode the theme. I've not seen that yet, actually. It would usually be, according to Lyell's law, somewhere in this lower region in one of the acrosses, but didn't see it. All right, so let's just go all the way back up to the top. We never really looked at any of these top clues because I kicked off with dual citizens, which worked out pretty well, all things considered. So ones with big heads around the office, big heads around the office. And there's some sort of pun or wordplay here. Could end in S, though. Spanish title. Could be Senora, SRA. Panko breaded chicken dish. Panko breaded chicken dish. I don't know. Fried chicken of some kind. Winans with 12 Grammys. I think CC Winans. A bad way to go. I don't know. Go down would be bad to go down. I don't know. As in flames. May God bless and keep the blank far away from us. Right. May God bless and keep the Czar far away from us, from Fiddler on the Roof. A film I saw for the first time a year or two ago and is absolutely great, and you should definitely watch it if you've not seen it. Czar. This is Czar would be generally spelled Tsar, sometimes slightly less properly spelled, Czar. It comes up occasionally. Should be TS, but could be CZ, so let's check the crosses. Ones with big heads around the office. Tax, as in thumbtacks with a big head, maybe? Could that possibly be it? Panko breaded chicken dish. Boy, this feels familiar with that K there, but I can't bring it to mind. Oh, it's driving me crazy. Bad way to go, I don't know, I'm still not sure. Inauguration Day activity. So that Inauguration Day in the United States is when the president-elect is sworn in to the office of the presidency. So swearing in would be an Inauguration Day activity. What was this? 5 times a day, Islamic prayer. Oh boy, this is something I will definitely recognize when I've got some crosses, but can't bring to mind right this moment. Word with earth or muscle. Earth tone, muscle tone, maybe? Function whose output is 45 degrees when applied to 1. So this is a trigonometric function. I assume it will be an arc something because just some of those functions start with arc, and that Phil suggests this one does too. Arc tangent must be, and then that would allow this theme shaded area to be art class. So if it's a bad way to go awry, it's bad to go awry. And then what is this? Have we seen this yet? Some whiskeys are ryes. Oh, yes, chicken katsu. That was indeed the word I was trying to access in my mind and could not. There it is. End blank. End up in end user, perhaps, of software. End user sounds better than ends up in my opinion. Fence line. So there's a question mark. I bet fence refers to sword fighting, perhaps. En garde, a line spoken in fencing. There we go. A long time could be ages. Drops in water could be water droplets, or it could be water dropping in water, drops something in water. Purchase for Wile E. Coyote, so the classic cartoon character who tries to detonate the Roadrunner with TNT frequently. With 29 down, island nation near Indonesia. East Timor, maybe? East looks good here. Drops in water. Oh, sinks. Yes, I see. Something drops in water, it sinks. Oh, this looks... Okay, so dear is incorrect, and that's not a big surprise to me, to be honest, because that D doesn't make sense after this S. A small row could be a spat. So, I'm so sorry if you use poor dear. Okay, fair enough. And then that makes this shaded. It's annoying that it's harder to see the shaded cells when you have the answer selected, but this 42 across shaded region looks like econ indeed, so economics class. Here we have pull in, could be earn as in a salary. Premium membership designation. Premium membership designation. Extra great. Obviously not correct. Soda cracker by another name, a saltine cracker. German is to Freunden as Spanish is to amigo, friend, or amiga, I suppose. I'll leave that blank for now. And then here we have sleeveless undergarment informally. Sleeveless undergarment informally. A camisole? Is that right? Premium membership designation could be elite something because of the premium. Settled on, a lit on. literally settled on top of something, alit upon it. Event with a crowning moment. Coronation, regency. What OPEC and NATO are both in. So OPEC is the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, and NATO is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. What are they both in? Oh, there's a question mark, actually, that I didn't really see. So there's some sort of pun here. So this might be a goofier answer here. They're both in... I don't know, sorry. Yeah, I don't know. So... is the 5 times a day Islamic prayer, is that salam? Store? Probably not. E in Morse code could be a dot or a da. Da came up as an answer to a Morse code related clue recently, and someone said, "Oh, that must be an Americanism." I don't think it is. I think it's Morse code jargon in certain contexts. I don't think it's specific to the United States. And I don't even remember if a da is a dot or a dash, or if it's some... Yeah, I don't remember. But there's something in Morse code. One of the types of symbolic inputs is called a da. And I'm wondering if that could be this, or dot, possibly. Pull out all the stops. We discussed pull out all the stops, I think, a few months ago. This was very early in the series. That's a term that derives from playing the organ, the musical instrument. The different there are these different sort of little poles, little rods that you can pull and push in the organ, and doing that changes the sound that the organ produces. And when you pull them all out, pull out all the stops, that's where the idiom comes from. That means going absolutely full bore, going, holding nothing back, I suppose. But I'm not sure what this is. Go something, E in Morse code, I don't know. Not sharp, perhaps. Not sharp, perhaps. I mean, sharp could mean so many things. Could be sharp and flat musically. It could be sharp as in acerbic, or not, not dull, etc. It could be so many things. Thompson of Sorry to Bother You. Oh, I saw Sorry to Bother You. Is it Tessa Thompson? Oh, premium membership designation could be elite status, and then that would make for stats, another statistics, another abbreviated class. Although, again, they don't need to be abbreviated because here we have Latin. Okay. Summer, what is this? Piece of work. Oh, a task. So, summer intern, perhaps here. And then language of the 18th century poet Mir Taqi Mir could be Urdu, I'm sure. And then Microsoft's answer to the iPad is the Surface. A rice dish could be pilaf, rice pilaf. MO Metropolis, is that what? Missouri Metropolis, maybe? St. Louis? Holds could be has. Alex and blank jewelry chain, not sure. Trendy could be hip. It lets you see the sites. Oh, an internet connection literally lets you see the websites. Hebrew name meaning ascent. Could that be Eli? Added bonus, metaphorically, the icing on the cake. Not the main benefit, but the little thing at the end, the extra bit. Extended wear manicure options. Gels, I think. Gel nails. Contents of some banks. Oh, snowbanks. There we go. And then Opal Tometi co-founded Black Lives Matter. All right. Here we have 0, 0 in math. That is the origin on a Cartesian plane, plotting the X and Y coordinates. Event with a crowning moment. Still not seeing it. Store. What is this? What OPEC and NATO are both in. What is this? Probably going to be blindingly obvious once I do actually see it. So an E in Morse code could be a dot. Pull out all the stops. Do it all? No, it doesn't fit. If this is dot, on, Q, on. I still don't know what's going on with these circled letters. What is that? Do they spell something at the end? Cutcla. Oh, cut class they spell. I see, cut class. So the circled letters spell cut class, and these circled cells are literally cutting the names of classes into. They are cutting classes. Very clever. Okay. This does look like East Timor, doesn't it? Let's put that in. Put on an unhappy face could be mope, perhaps. Pull out all the stops. Do it up. I guess that's sort of a idiomatic expression to go for it. Yeah, do it up. Let's go. Let's paint the town red. Choice words. That one, I suppose. You're making a choice of that one. Sashimi selection could be ahi tuna. Store could be stash. What is this? Oh, event with a crowning moment could be a pageant. So OPEC and NATO are both in caps? What does that mean? Oh, yep. As predicted, smacks me right in the face once I see it. They're both in all caps. They're in capital letters. Very clever. And then a crowning moment is a pageant. That makes sense. And then not sharp, perhaps, is on tune? No, in tune. And that actually reveals the counterpart to da, which is dit. So you have dot and dash and dit and da. And I'm not really sure what the relationship between those is. I don't know if they're synonyms or if they refer to some more nuanced distinction. Not really certain. But anyway, if a musical note is not sharp, it is in tune. And there's the puzzle. That was a pretty good Sunday puzzle, I thought. That was an interesting theme in that it was a sort of a two-part theme. We had to get the names of the classes themselves. Oh, and then study breaks, of course. Cut class, study breaks. We are breaking the names of these studies. So we had to get the names of the classes themselves: art class, stats, econ, lit, chem, calc, bio, and Latin. And then we had to see that we were spelling out the phrase cut class in the circles between it. And that took me almost until the end of the puzzle to see that. And then I don't think we ever got a revealer. In a way, I suppose the title sort of serves as a revealer in a way. You could imagine the phrase study breaks being in the grid to help tie into the rest of the theme. But yes, well-constructed theme. It's a shame in a way. This is such a minor nitpick. Sorry, seemingly very congested today. This is such a tiny thing, but it's just a slight shame that Latin was fully spelled out in contrast to every other class, which was an abbreviated form of the class. It doesn't really mean anything. I don't think it's important to the theme that these are abbreviated, so I don't know if my objection even feels valid to anyone else, but there was such a strong pattern of abbreviated class names elsewhere that I found the fully spelled Latin to be a bit of a surprise. No big deal. It was a well-constructed theme. And I thought this was a fun puzzle to solve. There was quite a broad range of trivia, of wordplay, of vocabulary, occasional misdirection here and there. I really enjoyed what OPEC and NATO are both in. This is a great example of a clue that when you first parse it, it really looks like it's a trivia clue. It looks like it's about knowledge, right? It's about understanding what these organizations are and then determining some commonality between them. In reality, it doesn't require the slightest bit of knowledge about what OPEC or NATO are. All you need to see is that they're written in capital letters. I love that clue. It's very clever, and it certainly took me a while. What else? I thought this was just a good puzzle overall. There are quite a few proper nouns, quite a few names. C.C. Winans, I know of that person, but there were people in here I was less familiar with. Someone like Rachel Maddow, I certainly am aware of Rachel Maddow. I didn't know she was the first openly lesbian anchor to host a major primetime news program, but that's not a big surprise. I mean, it makes sense that there wouldn't have been an earlier example of such a person, which is, a shame, but not a huge shock. Diego Rivero, I was familiar with. I was not at all familiar with Katie Nolan of ESPN, which is a sports network, so that won't surprise you, I don't think, as a reader. LGA, the JFK Alternative Airport, I was lucky to know that. Obvi, I don't think I've ever seen used as slang. I wonder if you have. Let me know how you feel about that. And then the return of scuba recently after it was used in a clue. Anyway, I thought this was a pretty good puzzle. I was very pleased to get that very, very early break-in with dual citizens. It's always incredibly helpful to get a relatively long answer earlier in the puzzle because it pays off so much with the crosses. Newsroom sites, for instance, desks is a quite straightforward answer to newsroom, but without that cross, there are probably plenty of newsroom sites that can fill 5 cells as a plural answer. So it was helpful to get that dual citizens, certainly. Oh, and then things like that Z or Z there, the Z that helped me with Cruz. I don't think I would have been able to get Celia Cruz easily without crosses. And of course, when you get an uncommon letter like this, it helps you out a lot because it very much constrains the possibility space. So anyway, yes, I thought a good fun puzzle. Didn't feel like as a slog in the way some Sunday puzzles can be, but let me know how you fared. I'd be curious to know. So that's that for Sunday. I'll wrap this video up momentarily, but first I would like to encourage you to subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video, if you've been enjoying this puzzle, or if you're brand new to it. I saw someone in the comments yesterday who had just found this channel, so welcome if that describes you. And if you know someone who might like this this channel, or these puzzles actually for that matter, if you think you know someone who might like the New York Times crossword puzzle, then why not introduce them to this channel as well? And consider backing my Patreon campaign. That is, at this point now, the principal method by which I hope to make this series a long-term, sustainable part of my daily work. It does take a not inconsiderable amount of time every day, and I have actually, I'm quite impressed with myself, having managed to put up one of these videos every single day since I started this series, even on days on which I'm traveling. So well done to me. I'll give myself a tiny pat on the back for that. And I would like to thank a couple of people who have donated at the higher tiers to that Patreon campaign to help keep this thing going. Thank you so much to Stephen Norrie and to Spiral in Your Eyes, and also, again, to Hood Monster. So thank you so much, and thank you to everyone who's contributed, and also thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching the series and sticking around to the end of this video. I hope you will do so again tomorrow. It will be a much easier task to stick around to the end tomorrow because it will be the Monday crossword, the first crossword of the week, and also the easiest most of the time. So usually also the quickest to solve. But until that point, please do have an excellent rest of your Sunday. Take care.